Hello everyone, last year I did a recap of the summer Blockbuster season, and since it was such a big hit and because I liked doing it, I'm doing it again this year. I actually watched more movies this summer than I did last year, so this should be fun. Few notes, when I say summer Blockbuster season, I mean May through August. You do not have to ask me about things that happened in March and April. And if you don't see a movie listed here, it just means I haven't seen it yet, so you don't have to ask about that either. A lot of websites have been saying this is the worst summer ever. I'm not entirely sure that is true, although they have shown some math that suggests financially and critically it might be. But I'll be honest, I did not see a lot of the bad movies that came out this summer, the allegedly bad movies. I mostly just saw movies that interested me, so here they are. Independence Day Resurgence. Okay, I actually saw a double feature of Independence Day 1 and Independence Day Resurgence. My local theater was doing a double feature, and I was like, I have a day to kill. Why not? I'll get some nachos, have some fun. In a way, it was a good idea because I watched Independence Day 1 on the big screen, just like I did when I was young and saw it in the theaters. So in a way, that was a good idea, but in another way, it was a very bad idea because flawed as Independence Day is, it's such a better movie than Independence Day Resurgence that watching them back to back, it was even more noticeable. Because, if you saw ID4 in the theaters 20 years ago, and then, 20 years later you see Resurgence, you'd be like, yeah, that seems familiar enough. But watching them back to back, it's like night and day. The original film, look, there's this sort of undercurrent of mild jingoism going on there. But compared to what culture is now, especially during this election season, that level of American exceptionalism is almost just quaint. Really, it's adorable. Really, Resurgence is bleak, and that's saying something for a film where world peace has been achieved and all the countries get together and work together and everything's good, and yet it is still rather bleak. Maybe just visually it bothered me. Everything is washed out in Smurf blue. It looks awful. There's not a lot of humor to it, and when it does happen, the humor does not land. It's just an unpleasant film full of characters I don't give a damn about. A bunch of 20-somethings we're the future now. I hated everyone in it. It was preposterous, and the ending was sequel bait. And not just sequel bait in the way that there is an after credit sequence in a Marvel movie, but sequel bait at the very end they're and now we're gonna go get them credits. Yeah. No, don't tell me there's gonna be a third one right after the second one sucked. Ghostbusters. Okay, so everyone completely lost their minds on the internet about Ghostbusters before it came out. Everyone was I hate the new Ghostbusters for reasons. And people who haven't even seen it were ardently defending it. I liked the original Ghostbusters, from the 80s, and I kind of liked part 2, but I didn't really feel like I had any skin in the game because it's just a couple movies from the 80s, and I don't have as much affection for the era that some do, even though I was born then. And it actually exceeded my expectations. It was more than just pretty good. I laughed quite a bit, especially the interactions between the Ghostbusters and Kevin. I thought it was really funny. I don't like a lot of comedies, though, so maybe I'm the wrong person to ask about that, but I'm telling you anyway. I rather liked it. It was good. It did okay at the box office, but only okay. It did okay with critics, but only okay. It was all this maelstrom, this storm, and it turned out everyone was like, yeah, right. When they saw it, most people thought it was just okay. I thought it was more than okay. The Neon Demon. I'm a big Nicholas Winding Refn fan, so I was looking forward to this one. I'll be honest, I'm still wrapping my head around it quite a bit. It is visually stunning, which is not surprising for a Refn film. And as a horror film, it is creepy and frankly grotesque, especially towards the end. I like horror movies as much as the next person, perhaps More so, but even I, like, towards the end, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a few scenes where I was like, cringing in my chair. I was like, should I watch this part? Ugh. But it was, I think I liked it. I just have to give it more thought. I actually might be doing an episode about it, just so I can figure this thing out for myself. Tickled. One of the only documentaries I saw recently, for the uninitiated, it is about people who con young people into doing competitive tickling and then basically treat them terribly, blackmail them. It is a film that is both frightening and funny. There is a bit of a controversy about some of the journalistic tactics used during it, and I acknowledge that, but I also feel that I have very little sympathy for the perpetrators. But that being said, really engaging movie. I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you don't like documentaries, this is definitely one to see. Finding Dory. It's basically an important film for young people who have learning disabilities. That's how I feel about the film. It's a very important film for young people who are struggling with something and need someone to just tell them that they're okay and that the way that they look at the world is all right. And that's what I like about the movie. As a piece of entertainment, I didn't really laugh. And also, a lot of it felt much like a retread of the original, which is understandable. It's a sequel. But I still think it's a solid picture for the reason I said before. The Conjuring 2. This sucked! It sucked so much! Can we just stop pretending? Alright, the people upon which this is based, the married couple, they're con artists and bad people. And we should not be treating them this well in film. It was embarrassing to watch, and not just for that reason. The plot unspoiled itself, like, in this sort of, like, just humiliating way. There was these moments where Vera Farmiga, who is a fine actress, I really like her, is like saying, I know how to defeat the nun ghost, because I wrote it in a book once. Let me go check the book. And and if that was bad acting, which you just witnessed, and it was, Vera Farmiga, who is a fine actress, as I said, could not, even in her talent, could not do it justice. Pop star. This was really funny. I wasn't originally going to see this. Someone said, hey, you want to go see this? And I was like, okay. And I checked it out. Like I said, I don't go to a lot of comedies, but this was really funny. I laughed a lot. It was probably my favorite comedy of the summer. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was done very well. The sort of mockumentary, like this is Spinal Tap kind of style. I think more people need to watch this. It's like this movie had like only the tiniest bit of hype going into it, and got good reviews, but still only this tiny bit of hype afterward. Go see this movie. Like, check it out on Blu-ray. It's very, very funny. X-Men Apocalypse. This was a disaster. And the weird thing is, when I was watching it, I was like, this is bad, but I don't know. I guess it's okay. After seeing it, like, a few weeks later, I thought about it again, and I was like, come to think of it, that sucked. The plot was all over the place. It was just poorly constructed. It was just structurally unsound film. No. I rescind my original thoughts on it where I said it was fine. It's not fine. It's quite bad. I think superhero movies, everyone has these predictions about superhero movies. Like, when is the bubble going to burst? And what's going to happen here? And what's going to happen there? And all these think pieces about superhero movies. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with superhero movies, whether they're going to persist, whether it's going to be like the Western, where it's a huge deal and then not anymore, and then there'll be a resurgence later. But watching X-Men Apocalypse, it made me think, yeah, there's been a few bad superhero movies all released around each other. And I'm going to talk about another one soon. So maybe this is falling apart. Also, there's some just okay superhero movies that came out, like Ant-Man. So I don't know. Maybe it's plateauing and now we're in a downward slide. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Like I said, it's difficult to predict this. But watching this, that's what I was thinking about. The Nice Guys. Shane Black made a new movie, and it's great. And nobody cares about it. It's such a good movie. It's very funny. It's very heartfelt. The way it's sort of edited in this like comedy violence kind of way where Shane Black knows how to incorporate both of those things. It's quite good. It's good to see Russell Crowe in a really good movie again. And I'll see Ryan Gosling in anything. Captain America Civil War. This was released just at the beginning of the summer blockbuster season, so I can talk about it. What I liked about it is that, much like the Avengers movies, the writers and the directors and everyone involved, they have this impossible task of bringing in all of these characters from all these different movies and giving all of them at least a moment. You know, a great moment where everyone's like, I love that scene where this guy did that, because otherwise everything gets jumbled and characters get underutilized. But they handled that very well here, I feel. The introduction of Spider-Man was done well, even though that seemed basically... in a lot of ways it was tacked on because it had to be. But it was incorporated well, somehow. I love the way that the Russo brothers handle action scenes. They basically say, okay, we're going to make a superhero movie, but we're going to have martial arts scenes. We're actually going to focus on the action and not do these sort of like uneven, you know, every time someone connects, you know, there's a cut, you know, as they do in a lot of other movies, but not here. It's just like, you know, we're going to do a widescreen and these two guys are going to come at each other and they're going to do martial arts and the choreography is going to be good. And it was like that throughout the whole film, and I rather liked it. The Jungle Book. This was a surprise. I was not a fan of Cinderella or Maleficent, the other Disney live action remakes. So I was feeling like this is only going to be okay. Maybe I'll just skip this one. And then everyone said it was great. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was great. You know, but all the hype got me interested, and I went and actually saw it. And although I wouldn't say great, I would say good. The most competently made Disney live-action remake of the three that there's been. Well, now there's four, but I haven't seen Pete's Dragon. Sorry. The weird thing is, in the film, Shere Khan is like, we have to kill Mowgli because he is a human, and humans have fire, and fire is dangerous. And everyone's like, but Mowgli wouldn't do that. And then Mowgli just burns him to death. It's like, Shere Khan was right. Suicide Squad. Look, I'm going to do an entire episode on Suicide Squad before the end of the year. I will have a lot of thoughts, but just as a preview, it's just the foundation of the film, that being the editing, is so atrocious that it just ruins it. It's like watching, instead of like you see a jigsaw puzzle and someone just sort of like rips it apart, you can kind of see the pieces, but everything's scattered and you can barely... A lot of people are saying, hey, yeah, the movie has problems, a lot of problems, but I thought it was fun. And that's fine. If you had fun watching it, I can't argue with fun. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it a lot more than I did, really. But that doesn't really change the fact that it has inherent, like, objective problems. And I will be doing a whole thing about it before the end of the year. Jason Bourne. Let me recap this movie in the style of the cinematography. It was just okay. I hate all that shaky cam bullshit. Just show me what's happening. Star Trek Beyond. I was surprised by how much I liked it. Might be my favorite of the reboot universe Star Trek movies. I'm a big Trekkie from back in the day. Most of you know that by now. But I wasn't thrilled with the first one. I mean, objectively speaking, the first Star Trek reboot movie from a few years back, it's a really solid adventure action movie. It just wasn't what I was wanting from Trek. And Into Darkness was a toilet grenade. But Star Trek Beyond, well, it felt like the first one in the sense that it's just a solid action adventure movie, but it had a sense of fun about it that I could just forgive that it still doesn't feel like Star Trek. You know, I had fun with it, and as I said before, it's hard to argue against fun. But unlike other, fun movies from this summer, this is structurally sound. Kubo and the Two Strings. I just saw this a few days ago. last movie I saw of the summer. I cried during the end. I can't deny it. I was like in a theater full of children and their parents. I don't know what the children are doing, but I was like, I don't want to spoil anything, but towards the end there's all these big reveals and twists, and it just leads into this big speech, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna be the only one crying in a theater full of children, but I couldn't help it. Just an absolutely great film. Excellent stop motion animation. I highly recommend seeing this. And that's it. If you didn't see a movie here, like I said, it means I didn't see it. If you want to talk about it in the comments, that's cool. But you don't have to say, what about the Ninja Turtles sequel? I didn't see it. I don't care about Ninja Turtles. I'm sorry. That's it. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching the latest episode of Renegade Cut, everyone. If you want to support the show, you can click the orange link to my Patreon. That's how all of this happens. If you want to subscribe and never miss an episode, click on the red link. If you want to watch more, there are some recommended videos below. I'll see you next week for another episode.